Most people quit long before they even get close to their actual limits. They choose to let their potential completely die just to stay comfortable. They negotiate with weakness every single day. They settle for average. And because of that, they never find out who they actually are. Welcome to Book Distilled. Today, we're breaking down an explainer of Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Look, this isn't about feeling motivated. This is about confronting the brutal path to unbreakable mental toughness. There's a core truth you need to accept right now. Your mind gives up long before your body ever does. See, our brains are hardwired for survival. They are completely desperate for safety and comfort at all costs. The second you feel pain or just get a little tired, your brain immediately hits the panic button. What does that actually look like in your daily life? It feeds you excuses on a random Tuesday morning. It tells you to hit snooze, it tells you to skip the workout, to avoid that hard conversation at work, to just sit down and take it easy. And if you listen to that voice, you're letting weakness control your destiny. You are handing over the keys to your entire potential. Denial is the ultimate comfort zone. Millions of people are roaming the streets right now, dead-eyed as zombies. They're completely addicted to comfort. They embrace this victim mentality where they blame their childhood, their boss, the economy, just their circumstances in general. That's the comfort trap. But on the flip side, we have the 1% reality. This is the reality of voluntary suffering. Now, to be clear, voluntary suffering isn't about physical torture or anything extreme like that. It's about choosing the harder path in your everyday decisions. It's taking extreme ownership. It's confronting your limits head-on so you don't end up living a life so soft that you die without ever realizing what you could have been. Part 1. The Origin of Unbreakable. From the bottom of the barrel to the hardest man alive. Let's look at where this unbreakable mindset actually comes from. If you think David Goggins is just some genetic freak who was born tough, you're entirely wrong. Look at this timeline. He started from an absolute nightmare. We're talking a childhood filled with severe physical abuse, toxic stress, crushing poverty, and smothering depression. As a young adult, he was nearly 300 pounds, spraying for cockroaches just to scrape by. He was suffocated by his own insecurities. Life dealt him a terrible hand, and he had zero natural talent. He was literally at the bottom of the barrel. Yet he completely transformed himself into a U.S. Armed Forces icon and an ultra-marathon champion. He stripped away every single one of his excuses, and by doing that, he strips away yours. Part 2. The Arsenal. Rewiring the mind for war. So how do you actually do it? How do you go from the weakest piece of paper to an armored tank? You have to build an arsenal. It starts with the accountability mirror. This means facing your absolute raw truth. You look yourself right in the eyes, you strip away your ego, and you take total ownership of every single flaw. If you're out of shape, own it. If you're lazy, own it. Don't dress it up with nice words to make yourself feel better. Goggins faced his deepest insecurities directly in the mirror, writing his harsh truths on sticky notes and leaving them right there. It became this daily, deeply uncomfortable confrontation. You cannot build a strong foundation on lies. The truth hurts, but it's the absolute only starting point for actual growth. Next up is callousing the mind. Think about when you first start lifting weights. Your hands are soft, they tear, they blister, they bleed. But over time, that friction builds thick calluses that act as protection. The exact same principle applies to your brain. You have to expose yourself to voluntary hardship. You have to intentionally seek out things that suck. How do you do that today? You take the freezing cold shower. You go for that grueling run in the rain. You volunteer for the hardest project at work that everyone else is dodging. Doing things that suck every single day builds thick mental armor. It protects you against life's inevitable sufferings. You can actually thrive right in the middle of the fire. Look, we need to destroy the myth of motivation right now. Motivation is a lie. It's just a temporary fix. It's this fleeting emotional state that will completely abandon you the second things get hard. Discipline is entirely different. Discipline actually rewires your brain. It's permanent. It's what you rely on when you are exhausted, angry, or utterly defeated. True discipline means doing the brutal, exhausting work when you have absolutely zero desire to keep going. Motivation changes nobody. Discipline is what builds the foundation because it forces you to act despite feeling the pain. This brings us to the 40% rule. When your mind starts screaming that you are completely done, when you feel like you literally cannot take another step, you are only at 40% of your true capacity. Imagine you're running and your lungs are burning, or you're working late and your brain just absolutely refuses to focus. Your brain has a governor on it, just like a car engine. It hits the brakes early just to protect you from pain. But pushing past that initial agony, demanding just 5 or 10% more from yourself in that exact moment, breaks that governor. It unlocks massive hidden reserves of power you never even knew you had. You have to push into the pain to find it. Then there's the tactical concept of taking souls. This is a psychological weapon used to push through impossible tasks. It means finding that reserve power to completely dominate an obstacle silently. You push harder exactly when everyone around you expects you to break, and doing it silently is the absolute key here. This isn't about putting other people down, it's about total self-mastery. You overpower the doubt in your own head, you take complete control of the environment, and you ride a massive second wind. You prove to yourself and the obstacle in front of you that your will simply cannot be broken. When the suffering peaks and you're desperate to quit, that's when you reach into the cookie jar. The cookie jar is a mental vault. It holds your past failures, the hardships you've already overcome, and all your micro victories. You need to start building your own cookie jar today. Even small wins, like forcing yourself to wake up at 4 a.m. or finishing a difficult task without checking your phone once, go right into that jar. When you are in the darkest, most agonizing moments of a challenge, you remind yourself of who you are at your absolute best. You draw raw energy from your past resilience. It fuels your fire exactly when you're suffering the most. Part 3. The pitfall. Exactly why you stay weak. Here is the hard reality of why you stay weak. You wait for the perfect conditions. You wait for motivation to magically strike. You constantly seek the path of least resistance. You make excuses, you blame your circumstances, and above all else, you are absolutely terrified of failure. You refuse to test your true limits because you're afraid of what you might find out about yourself. But in life, there is no gift as overlooked or as inevitable as failure. Most people run from it, and because they run, they completely miss out on the vital lessons failure provides. Failure gives you the exact blueprint for obliterating your barriers. If you face your failures head-on, if you dissect them and study them, you learn exactly how to adapt, how to get stronger, and how to finally win. Part 4. Forging your true potential. Applying the pain to modern life. It's time to start forging your true potential. Listening to this explainer is completely useless unless you apply the pain to your modern life. You have to take these brutal principles and inject them directly into your daily routine. Force yourself into discomfort to build actual, undeniable resilience. Here is exactly how you apply it today. Build discipline over motivation. Stop waiting to feel like it. Forge unwavering self-respect by actually keeping the hard promises you make to yourself. Destroy your career obstacles through extreme, undeniable effort. Crush your fitness limits by pushing past that 40% governor every single time you train. And neutralize the stress of modern life through voluntary exposure to discomfort. Choose the path of most resistance. The ultimate mind game is realizing that the only person you are playing against is yourself. You need to compartmentalize your day. Eliminate that toxic multitasking mentality that creates a nation of half-asses. Multitasking dilutes your effort. It's honestly just a hidden form of laziness. Audit your time, find the hours you waste, and focus intensely on one task at a time. Put your head down and execute. And most importantly, do the hard, grueling work even when no one is watching you. The real victory is always won in the dark, in those quiet moments of agonizing effort when it's just you and your excuses. Look, this explainer is really just the beginning. To truly unlock your full 100%, I highly encourage you to read Can't Hurt Me for yourself. You can find the link in the description below. The strongest person in the room is usually the one who learned how to suffer quietly. Growth begins the exact moment comfort ends. Stop negotiating with your excuses, stop choosing the easy path, and start callousing your mind today.